Welcome to another hard-hitting episode of Tackling a New Kingdom. I'm your host, Tank Johnson, and today we got a living legend. We got the NFL single-game rushing record holder. He's a University of Washington treasure, a 10-year NFL football veteran, future Hall of Famer, CD from the CD. Corey Dillon, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, man, and thanks for having me, Tank, for sure, man. It's a pleasure.
It is an honor, man. You know, just being a dog that came after you to UW and just you was on campus for 3 months, and your legacy you left was worth 100 years.
3 minutes. You know what I mean?
3 minutes, right? And it was just, when we got there, the stories of how, the season you had at UW was just, they were just there. They were thick stories. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Okay. So on this show, we tackle things in 3 buckets, right? We're going to tackle something current. We're going to tackle something real, and then we're going to tackle something controversial. And today, in tackling something current, I'm curious to know what's your opinion on the state of college football, and we'll get more specific into University of Washington, but so many rules changes, different conferences. When you see college football nowadays, what do you think?
Well, only positive I really see is like now the athlete, in college they could get paid, man. I think that's a good concept, because, growing up and coming up the way we did, it was super structured. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, kids struggle in college, man. Where that next meal coming from if you're from out of state? So the whole concept of the athlete actually could get paid while going to college, it's a plus, man, because I totally get it. And I understand the struggles, man. So as far as that's a plus. And then to top it off, I still think college football is in a good state. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's in a good state. That's where, you're going to see the most aggressive football, young kids trying to compete, trying to get to the next level.
I agree. I agree because it's funny because kind of similar thing with the NFL. We thought once the concussion things came out and they started changing the game, everyone was afraid the game was going to change. And sure enough, that Super Bowl, was one of the most watched Super Bowls in history. So that debunked that. But on the college football, when I talk about it being different, right? Like University of Washington was known for putting out running backs, tight ends, D tackles, and you could kind of see that around the country. Miami had great skill players, and it's just like now everybody just plays the spread offense, and so like those like specific skill set players, tight end, fullback, they no longer exist.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, like, it's harder for me to watch. What about you?
It is kind of, and I mean, and not only college football, man, it's just like the pros too. Like the running backs is becoming extinct. You know what I mean? So you start looking at some of the salaries and how they not want to pay a running back, and they do it by committee. Man, the position is like in basketball when they say the center, really can't dominate like they used to. You know what I mean? Like running backs used to dominate on offense. That was a vital position for any offense, but now they just, they overlook it. So
no doubt. So
it hopefully, like with anything, man, stuff comes back in style. You know what I mean? So hopefully that trend to end where, they don't think the running back is not as valuable, and it comes back in style where, me looking at it right now, the big dude from Tennessee is the last of the real bruising running backs.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Derrick Henry.
Yeah, so We need to get more back to that, if you ask me. You know what I mean?
It's just funny. It's just funny how like they move away from that, but then in a crunch time situation, they want to go back to I back, full back,
up and try to get it done right.
Yeah.
So it don't make sense to me. I mean, all that spread offense and all that fancy stuff. Yeah, that's cool, but you got to win the game, man. Crunch time, you got to win. And when it gets tough, like, yeah, you need those power backs that go out there and get those yards.
No question. And you know, your story coming out of high school, bouncing around with a couple of junior colleges, ultimately ended up in Dixie,
right,
and to the University of Washington. Do you think like your decision would have been as simple as it was back then with these rules? Like, for example, you almost went to junior college knowing where you wanted to go to the University of Washington when you got done, right?
Right.
So do you think that, I mean, how different would that be now?
I mean, that would be a lot different with all this stuff going on. I mean, who knows, man? Like, I mean, I could have went to Florida State or something like that. You know what I mean? So
right.
I could have ended up in somewhere south, Alabama, Florida. So, but back then, man, my mind was already set. I already knew where I was going, you know, off the rip.
Off top.
Off top, no discussion, no ifs, ands, or buts. When I get done with this, that's where I'm headed. And whoever's there, man, you got to deal with me. I'm coming.
So why? I mean, I know you was a local cat, but like, what was it about UW that had you like, yeah, I'm on that?
Man, I just think growing up and seeing Don James and just the players, you know, it stuck with me growing up. Like, if I get my opportunity, I would love to play for the Huskies. And that's always rolled with me. So when that situation came up and, you know, I was in position to make some choices, it was a no-brainer for me.
No, it's crazy how you can just kind of imagine yourself, because I remember being in high school and I was watching Washington play UCLA, and at the time I thought I was a good tight end, and I was just watching Jeremy Stevens go crazy. And I was like, yeah, I'm on that. So, but I want to ask you this. You know, one of the questions I love to ask guys from our generation, and I know that, you know, you've got a son that plays. It's always interesting. What would your advice be to, you know, either your kid or another kid? And there's two ways you can do this. You could say that you can wait until you get to the league to get paid so it keeps you more hungry. There's that thought, right? So like, don't take any NIL money in high school, college. And then, you know, when you get to the pros, you get paid, right?
Right.
Or when they're in high school, get as much money as you possibly can. Like, from a pure football standpoint, which path would you recommend?
Man, I'm gonna keep it real, man. If you can get it now, get it, because you know what?
Yeah.
Cats are not guaranteed to make it.
Fuck, you're right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I know you know a lot of people, and I do too, who was super nice in high school, super nice in college, but never made it. So my thought process is, man, if you could get it right now, man, go for it, get it.
Yeah, I can't even argue with that, OG, because I just know, like, myself, that like I was chasing the bag, right? So when I didn't want to train, when I didn't want to do all that shit, I was like, nah, I'm trying to go get this money. And I'm trying to think, if I was in college and I was laying up in my room with 6 figures in a bank account.
Yeah, how motivated would you be? And how hungry would you be?
Like, would I still be that dog?
I get that aspect of it, though, man. So it's on that individual, man. It's all mindset, man. Where your mindset at?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You gotta be a strong-minded individual to stay on your job, man, regardless of what's in your account. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You know what I mean? So what? You got a couple zeros in your bank account. Hey man, you still got to get up and earn it. You got to have that mentality. You still got to earn it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, that's so real, man. You kick a lot of knowledge there, and kind of real quick. I mean, I know you got to watch our Huskies.
man, of course.
So, I mean, what the state of the Huskies? Give it to me, CD. Tell me what it is.
Oh man, I think they're in a good spot, bro.
Okay.
I think they're in a good spot. They're in a good spot, and I just feel like I don't know what this alignment of the conference, how that's going to look.
Right.
You know, I don't know if USC and UCLA is taking off to wherever they going to the big whatever or SEC. I haven't did my homework on that. I just think, you know what? They're a couple players off, and it's all on recruiting, man. You got to go get some dogs, man, and bring it back. But
you know, what about they're in the? I mean, so you know, one of the things that in my group chat that we talk to the fellas about is how many players from the state of Washington that get out and end up starring for all these other programs. Like, how do we keep the dogs in the state?
Man, that starts with recruiting, man. You gotta make Washington more attractive to stay home.
Straight up.
And it's just simple as that.
Well, that is tackling something current as we make our transition to tackling something real. The bad news Bengals, at the time you played for the Bengals, they were known more for their off the field actions than winning on the field. Do you feel like once you got to New England, people started to see you as a more of a legit premier back?
Well, I would say this. I think people got to see me more. Okay. Playing in Cincinnati wasn't too many games televised. So I don't think people really got to see me play. And crossing over, going to New England, and where like every other game, or if not every game, is on TV, right?
Yeah.
People actually got to see what I was about.
And okay, because it's funny because when I played for the Cowboys, and I was coming to the I was a free agent, and I asked like 10 guys who played for the Bengals if I should go there, and they all said,
"Hell no,
hell no." and the reasons that they said hell no were there's nothing to do, the nightlife is bad, and that kind of piqued my interest a little bit because I had played in Chicago and Dallas, and you could spend $10,000 a night in those cities, but if you spend $10,000 in Cincinnati, you bought the whole town.
You bought Cincinnati and a little bit of Kentucky. You know what I mean? So,
and a little bit of Covington.
You know?
Yeah.
But that all stems from like marketing with the team. You know, I think, you know, they're probably at the bottom of the totem pole as far as franchises. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. Like you see these other franchises where they struggle for years and years and years. I was in that situation, you know, where they were trying constantly to turn things around. They just couldn't do it. They're better now. Yeah. They're better now. But just look how long it took. That transition took for them and a franchise to be, you know what, well respected. You know what I mean? Right.
But do you think that some of your like quality years were buried?
No, you damn right. Man, I say this all the time, man. And I'm gonna stand on it and shoot, I die by this. Put me anywhere else, and there's no question about anything.
Hands down.
Hands down.
No. And that's crazy, man, because you saw what happened when you went over and became that premier dominant back, and I don't understand why that's not like taken into consideration. You know?
Right. See, this is all right. So I know we're gonna get into all this Hall of Fame stuff and stuff of that nature. I want people to really think though, man, like we were going 3-13, 4-12. My 7 years there, never had a winning season.
Did you play with Chad?
I played with Chad. TJ, I played with them all. Played with them. They were there.
Tell me what it was like playing with Chad.
Man, all this Ocho Cinco shit, I don't know who that dude is. I know Chad Johnson. I know that guy. You know what I mean? Chad was quiet. He really didn't say too much.
Sucked his thumb.
How you know? See, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
He should just sit there like.
There you go. Yes, that was him all day, every day. McDonald's in his locker. Could barely get the dude to say what's up. So, I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, hey, to each his own. Now he's Ocho Cinco and does his thing.
Well, here's what this was my take on it, okay? And I wrote some notes down for this.
Right.
I thought Chad was brilliant on having played in two very intense media markets.
Right.
Coming to Cincinnati, I watched Chad create an additional revenue stream for himself off the field. Now on the field was different. I would say I felt like Chad felt like he was playing a sport with one person. It was 1-on-11, right? Like, you know, and that's how he did his like motivation and stuff, but it often ended up as like bulletin board material, right?
Right.
And so like guys on the defense, because I remember we went like, what did we go? We went like 13-3 or something and lost in the first round of the playoffs. And then that next year we got T.O. and Chad and T.O. both said it's Super Bowl or bust for the Bengals, right? And I'm looking at him like, dog.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut up. For real.
Like, shut up. We're not gonna sneak up on nobody this year. And you know, you're putting it out there, and he wrote a lot of checks that the team couldn't cash. So that was my only issue with him.
Yeah, well, man, Chad's a good dude. That's my dog, man. Hey,
good brother. But we're just being real about the football.
I'm not hating on Chad at all, man. And what he marketing wise, hey man, that's his thing, man. He does a great job at that, man. But sometimes, like you said, man, it's bulletin board material, man. And sometimes you just got to keep it quiet, man, and just go out and do your job. Let your work on the field speak for you. You know what I mean? So
right.
And you know what? Sometimes that could get overboard, man. Like I said, the whole mystique and cachet of becoming Ocho Cinco and newfound things. I mean, it could get out of hand at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it caught up with him in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That's why he went somewhere else. You know what I mean?
I was there at the catching up. He was out of there.
Right. Yeah. And then you know what? Now you still you still trying to be that person, and you go somewhere else, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all. Wow, yeah. That's a good point there. But I mean, listen, obviously the football player in me, that's my dog. But then the mature adult is like, you know, we gotta figure out a way to do it where you do, like you said, it doesn't go overboard.
Right.
And we love our dog.
We love Chad, man. That's my boy, man.
It's just speaking facts. So, okay. And so, finally, we are going to tackle something controversial. Uh,
Okay.
so the Hall of Fame eluded you again this year, okay? But we know that there aren't 20 backs better than you. So first, do you think the Hall of Fame has a uniform criteria for players getting in that's easy to understand? That's my first question.
No, I don't think they have no criteria whatsoever. I think they're basing stuff on popularity and likability right now. You know what I mean? So and connections. Like, say for instance, hey, somebody got a vote and they may follow you at that certain time in your career. You know what I mean? You got a better chance than somebody whose stats are like 10 times better than yours. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yep.
so it's kind of tricky right now, man. I wish there was structure in how that process, the voting process is.
And when you say structure, so are we saying like, okay, if you have played 10 years and you rush for 10,000 yards and have this many touchdowns, then you're automatically a Hall of Famer? Like that kind of structure?
Something along those lines, or this. Like, I'm gonna bring it back. Like, there's a lot of people who have votes who never seen people play. Never seen people play. So how is that? How does that even work? You know what I mean? You never seen this guy play.
And that's like when people have when they say like who's better, Jordan or LeBron, and then someone says Bill Russell, and you're like, well, I never saw Bill Russell play, and how can you say he's the best player? And so that it just fucks up the argument if they've never seen him play.
Exactly. And then my thing about it is this. Like, give the votes back to the players, man. Let the Hall of Famers vote on Hall of Famers. Man, I could sit here in this chair and be comfortable if 50 Hall of Famers say, Corey, we don't think you're a Hall of Famer. All right, cool. I say, man, fuck you. I think you're crazy. Right. But I got to live with that.
I'll take it, though. I'll accept that.
I can live and accept that. You know what I mean? Instead of some beat writer who, because of whatever, TV contract or whatever, they slid him a vote, who never seen you play, tells you, nah, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna tell you this, man. So I ain't gonna blow dude up, but like there's a writer who has a Hall of Fame vote, right?
Right.
And every year he basically sends out the guys to like 10 football players that he knows in his phone. And then those 10 football players send them back like who they would put in, right? And then of that group, whoever has the most votes, if they align with his votes, then he puts them in there. Do you think for a writer who may not know intrinsically what a guy did, if he's got like a little council of players that he talks to, I mean,
he shouldn't have a fucking vote. Period.
That's what I'm saying.
Period. Why does he? Who would give somebody? Who would give him a vote? The right to vote on another player? Come on, man. That don't even sound right.
Right.
That don't sound right. And listen. He's not the only one that does that.
Oh, I know. I know.
He's not the only one. That's why I'm saying it got to be they have to tear that thing down and have structure in it. And just me personally, I could take that heated criticism from another Hall of Fame all day, every day. Right. That, to me, they should be having those votes and voting people in. That's just me.
But CD, you were Marshawn before Marshawn, right? In terms of like, you was just about that action and, didn't kiss ass in the media. You weren't going to be at everybody's golf event. And that is going to hurt you in your generation. But Marshawn is beloved in this generation. So it blows my mind how it's kind of like a double standard in that.
Hey, I get this all the time too, man. People be like, man, you and Lynn should do a show. You know what I mean? Because you guys are so much alike, right?
So alike.
I caught hell for being that way. You know what I mean?
That's why I said that.
I've been labeled as a malcontent just because I just wanted to play ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go about my business. Like, on to the next. You know what I mean? I caught hell for walking that way. My man's, kudos to him, he's beloved for being that way. And it just shows the different eras. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to understand, there wasn't no social media back then. You know what I mean? It was none of that.
Hey, but on the cool, we ain't want that shit either.
And we sure the hell didn't want it, though.
Like, who over there taking pictures?
Who over there in the bushes now? You know what I mean? So that just showed and that's real, man. That just shows you how stuff changes, man. Like, I think, period, just because I play for the Bengals, I get snubbed a lot. You know what I mean? Right. Just for playing for the Bengals.
Yeah, but Anthony Munoz get snubbed?
But you gotta listen, this is crazy. People just need to start doing some homework and some research on just until this year. There's only 2 Hall of Famers that ever played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Why is that? Why? I don't get it.
Because Willie's up for it too.
I don't. Did Willie get in this year?
No, he didn't get in. I just thought that he was.
He was not. Yeah, he's been a finalist. Absolutely.
Okay. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, he's been a finalist. But man, listen, man, there's a lot of players in the history of the Bengals who should be Hall of Famers, like Ken Anderson. Why he not a Hall of Famer? You know what I mean?
Out.
I mean, they just got Ken Riley in there, and he's 5th all time in interceptions.
So we're gonna hashtag Bengal bias. There's a bias to getting Bengals in the Hall of Fame. So we're gonna bring it to Front Street because listen. Right. One thing I can say, I don't care what nobody say. After playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, I love Cincinnati. I love the people.
Man, the city, I loved it too.
I loved it. My family loved it. I got nothing bad to say about Cincinnati other than they got some crazy high-ass city tax and ain't even shit to do, and they got a high-ass tax. But that's another thing.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Hey, but if you always had that state of Washington address, I know you was doing good with that.
Oh man, I kept it. You kidding me?
And it paid off because when I played there, I had a house in Bellevue. So you already know. So my last question about the Hall of Fame is, like I said, Deion is making a point that like the Hall of Fame needs like some like suites and executive booth. Like I'm this level Hall of Fame, he's that level of Hall of Fame. Do you think if the Hall of Fame had a tier system that people will be more accepting of the criteria that they have right now?
Man, I love you, Prime. I love you, dude. But tiers of Hall of Famers, come on, man. Hall of Famer's a Hall of Famer, bro. To me, I mean, it's one tier. That's the ultimate tier. Hall of Fame.
The final level.
That's it. That's the upper room.
That's the upper room.
Yeah, there's supposed to be tiers to that too?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think to Deion's point, I think Deion was saying that because some guys got in the Hall of Fame that he didn't like Zach Thomas, right? Like I played with Zach on the Cowboys, and that was at the end of his career. But like, just because he was a above average white linebacker on a terrible team and he played for 20 years doesn't mean that he's a Hall of Famer.
And you know how many times I ran over Zach? Yeah, ran him over quite a bit.
Bro, when he played with me on Dallas, I was like, could somebody else come in and I'll say he was at the end of his career. But like, right. I mean, I guess similar to Cincinnati, what went on down there in South Beach wasn't really televised because they were losing. So this isn't about Zach. It's about there's a Zach Thomas tier of Hall of Fame, and then there's a Corey Dillon level of Hall of Fame, and it should be higher. So that's why I liked I don't know how it would work, but I liked it.
I get where he's coming from, Deion. But you got to understand, Deion Sanders is one of one, brother.
Yeah.
He's on a whole plateau of his own.
Fact.
You know what I mean? So I understand giving him a different love of a Hall of he's 101.
Right.
I mean, basically the best corner ever played, if you ask me.
Yeah.
He
wasn't playing.
Yeah, there's I see where you're saying there's a difference, but at the end of the day, I'm like for everybody, like, dude, that's it. I mean, what more? There's no more ceiling higher than, you know what I mean, being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel for something that
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. No. And everybody in this world and they mama knows, daddy, brother, sister. No, Deion Sanders is 101. He's in a place by himself.
Dolo. So
right.
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, after talking about it, I don't think we're any close to a solution. But I do, you know, I do listen to all the different suggestions, and I don't know who's right or who's wrong, but I know you need to be in there. So we're gonna go with rapid fire, but this one's you're gonna have to think a little hard on this rapid fire. Who's the best defender you played in at the college level?
Best defender. Ooh, Lord. Jesus Christ. Oh boy, this is hard.
So who was just the person that kept getting up off top of you and you like, who is blocking this man?
I'm gonna give Chris Claiborne some love.
Okay.
He played at USC. He was out there. He was about his business.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So who is the best defender you played at the pro level?
Oh man, I'm gonna get at the Junior Seau. Man, that dude was a monster.
Seau, huh?
Man, a monster, a nightmare out there.
What defense that you played in the NFL that you had to make sure you had all of your required equipment?
The Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore. Okay, what defense did you love to see coming because you had some escalators in your contract?
That would be Cleveland.
Okay.
Twice a year, buddy. Twice a year.
Give me that little close to 200. Who's the coach that had the biggest impact on your life?
It doesn't any level? High school?
Any level.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna go with my high school coach, Joe Sly.
Okay. And I get you out of here on these last two. You've got a son, right? That plays for the Packers.
Man, listen, who's his mama? I don't have no son.
They talking about. I'm like, Corey Dillon got a kid that play for the Packers.
Hey, I know I ain't slip up. No,
I'm like,
no. I get that a lot too. No, we're not even related, bro. No.
That's all good. Well, let me ask you this: do you know who will be inducting you into the Hall of Fame when you do go?
I would like to get that honors to my oldest daughter.
That's amazing. Well, CD, from CD, you came, you saw, and you tackled a new kingdom. Thank you for being on my show, my dog.
Hey, brother, anytime. Thank you.